So I want to tell you that we have so many people to thank tonight. And it might not be important to you personally, but I really want to thank these people because so often at an event, it looks like it's the Patty Meyer show and I did this whole thing. There's no way I could do this alone. So I do this with so much help from so many people. First of all, this is the first time our fashion show is actually grant funded. Part of the underwriting for the grant tonight is from the Michigan Council of Arts and Cultural Affairs. So yes, so we got a grant. So I wanted to mention that because one of the great things my kaka does, that's actually what they call the group. Believe it or not, I would have come up with a better acronym because I just really wouldn't want to be called my kaka. But what can I say? And so, but anyway, if you go around to wonderful art venues, you will see the logo that you see on the back of your programs. There's a logo for the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. One of the great things they do is they underwrite small art projects. So you don't have to go in for $100,000. You can ask for $2,000 or $3,000, which really helps smaller art venues like our own. So if you have a chance to support my kaka, please support it. I know it's funny it's funny every time you say it. I also want to thank a member of our board. Of course, we have a board, Friends of the Falta State, that helps with the managerial part of the board. And Don and Wendy Benheis, where are you? Don and Wendy are also sponsored tonight's event, so it's wonderful to have that. It takes a lot of the worry off my shoulders. Fortunately, we sold lots of tickets, but you just never know that ahead of time, so it's great to have sponsors. Also, the rental company, Robin, is here with her friends, and that they give us the staging and lots of the chairs and other things that you're seeing tonight are from the rental company. So we want to give a shout out to them. And I absolutely could not do it without my right-hand person, Tammy. I come up with these crazy ideas like, well, let's make our chair numbers look like little dresses with shoulder pads. And she goes, really, we couldn't do something easier, but she always does it. And our programs and everything, she brings that all together. So Tammy's wonderful. And I don't know if Becky is up here, but Becky made our food tonight. She made special portions for people who asked for gluten-free. So just a big thanks to everybody. And now, I wouldn't be me if I didn't tell you a little bit about the history, of course, because I'm a historian and I love the mansion. So I have to tell you a little bit about the history. The mansion looks like a Georgian manor that you'd see in an English countryside from the 1700s because it's a Georgian home. But it's actually a Georgian revival. It was built in the 1920s. And so when you see Downton Abbey and you see that, the wonderful interiors, you're in a scaled down version of Downton Abbey from the 1920s. So that's really neat, I think. In the 20s and 30s, we actually have film footage, original film footage of the Felt family. And all of the dresses that you see the ladies in are very straight. They're drop-waisted. They made the girls look like boys. And there was a historic reason for that. Women had started to enter the workplace. They started being in tennis matches. They started to do a lot of things that previously had been male-dominated. So their clothing started to look more boyish. A lot of the young girls, they hardly accentuated any curves at all. It went straight down. Well, they did that in the 20s, and they did that in the 30s, and you know what? Movies started to come out. And you had Judy Garland, and you had Jane Russell, and you had these girls who, I want to tell you, didn't look at all like boys. And so in the 1940s, you start to see some curves, and that's good for women like me, because I've always had an hourglass figure. The only problem is my hourglass is about 2 hours now. I've got a lot more sand in my hourglass, and it's all heading to the bottom of the glass, I can tell you. But the 40s are much better fashions for me than the 20s. I never can pull off that straight stick figure. So anyway, it brings us to the 1940s. And we have a wonderful treat for you tonight. Hannah Hoffman is 18 years old. She owns probably more than 300 vintage garments. She's been collecting them since she was a very young girl. They are all authentic. These aren't, like mine is a reproduction of a 40s pattern. Hers are not. Hers are all authentic 1940s wear. And you're going to see everything tonight. You're going to see day wear that someone would wear to the beach or to an afternoon party. You're going to see everything to evening wear and wedding apparel. So you're going to see wonderful things from the 1940s. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Hannah because she is actually going to narrate it as well. And then after that, we have another treat. As if that wasn't enough, we're going to zoom ahead to the 1960s, and then Vicky Tiel is going to come up and talk about some fashions from the 1960s. So you just have a great night ahead of you. So sit back, enjoy. I'm going to turn it over to Hannah.
Hello, and welcome to the Vintage Victory Fashion Show. My name is Hannah Hoffman. I've been collecting dresses for the past 6 years, my collection spanning several decades. I own over 400 vintage garments and have an extreme passion for history. Tonight I've hand-selected a unique group of ladies to model some fabulous fashions from the 1940s. After the show, feel free to talk to the models about their outfits and get pictures with them. Thank you so much for attending tonight. First comes Miss Harley First, donning a lovely blue romper that she made herself. After ordering the fabric from her Sears catalog, she's feeling like $1 million. Also, take notice of her legs, where there are seams drawn on the back. During World War II, women gave up their silk stockings and donated them to the war effort to make silk parachutes. Women would then take an eyeliner pencil and draw a seam up the back of their legs to get what they were wearing stockings. Good job, Harley, for doing your part. Up next is the lovely Casey Reese. She is going out with her friends to a neighborhood barbecue. Sporting a cute red romper, she is ready to play croquet and enjoy some sun. Rompers and playsuits are her favorite to wear during the hot summer. Next up is Miss Demi Horn. She is going out to the beach with all her friends. Modeling a classic feed-sack playsuit, she is ready to get some sun and look cute. Her mother made her outfit from the leftover feed-sack material from her farm. This farm girl feels just as glamorous as the Hollywood actresses she sees on screen. It's estimated that over 3 million Americans during World War II wore at least one article of clothing made from feed-sack. Strutting her stuff in a pretty yellow day dress that would have been appropriate for her age. Emily is making her way downtown to the local soda shop for Sundays with her friends. Notice the beginning of the more Asian-inspired wear. Off for a day of shopping, an event to raise money for war bonds. Her lovely pink rose-grain frock has Asian influences, which was common during the 1940s. A lovely dress such as this would have been worn in high society. There are simple button closures at the waist that helps determine its aging of 1942. Doesn't she look lovely? Here comes Miss Amy, ready for a day of tennis at the local courts. She purchased this adorable sports outfit from her Sears catalog. Made of a lightweight cotton and simple mother-of-pearl buttons, she's ready to bring home victory. Modest designs such as this could have also been used for a regular day dress as well. Thank you, Vicky. Melissa is out running errands today in town, hoping to catch the eye of a lucky soldier. Donning a very comfortable and versatile wrap dress, she can easily go about her day. This 1944 neat and tidy, or better known for the company Swirl brand dress, now highly collectible. These dresses were optimal for busy housewives to look glamorous without the hassle. Now making glamorous entrance is Miss Casey. She is wearing a swinging 1949 evening gown. In a rustic orange bohemian style, she is ready to dance the night away at the local swing club. Grabbing onto the arms of handsome young men she hopes to climb in society. Remember what they say, dress for success. Next up is Miss Demi Horn, showing off her elegant jersey knit evening gown. She hopes to be the most stylish and stunning gal at the USO show tonight. Maybe she will find that lucky sailor to marry one day. If not, just participating will bring up the men's morale. Next up is Miss Emily again, sporting classic style denim coveralls. Paired with a cute novelty blouse, she is ready to claim an intent to her victory garden. She has prepared in support of the war effort. Times were changing during the war years as women began being employed in the factories. As the need for female workers increased, the demand for more reasonable fashion choices also became apparent. Melissa is looking sharp in her Chrism custom tailored suit. She is going to attend her sister's wedding. Wearing suits such as hers was extremely commonplace. Women would even get married in a lovely fitted jacket and skirt, usually in baby blue. This style suit accentuates her tiny waist. Doesn't she look amazing? Melissa religiously goes to church every Sunday to pray for her brother who is stationed in Europe. She only hears bits of news when he can write her a letter or send a telegram. Wearing her Sunday best is important to her and is always an elaborate affair. With this lovely blue dress, she always looks her best. Amy loves her family gatherings, especially because she can put on her best blue frock. Sheer dresses such as this are perfect for those days in the sparkling sand. She gets to be comfortable and still. Also take notice that pins such as these were extremely common to dress up ordinary outfits. Wonderful bride, Harley, in her 1949 wedding gown, made of silk, because after the war, silk became more apparent and could be used. Doesn't she look amazing? During the war years, she met her soulmate and they decided to get married right after the war.
Oh, let's hear it for Hannah. I want Hannah to walk down, but she's got to tell you about the dress first.
The dress I'm wearing is from the 1940s. It's from the late 1940s with the Asian influences, especially after the war. It became more popular. The wiggle dress, everything became more streamlined.
I'm wearing a wiggle dress too, but it's for a different reason. It's going to just wiggle. But walk down, let everyone see it. I was going to wear it, and then I just said no. because she's just been a pro to work with. She's here, she's fabulous. So it's just wonderful. Thank you, Hannah. Now I have a little surprise that even Vicky doesn't know about. One more model is going to come out and she's wearing a Vicky Tiel suit. Now, I ordered this online from a vintage warehouse, and it came in, European sizes aren't the same as American sizes. But you know, we can all dream. Maybe in a couple years you'll see me wear it. But that was going to be my red, white, and blue. I was going to wear spectator shoes with it. But it didn't fit, but it looks better on you. But it's a Vicky Tiel. To submit some questions because I thought this would be a good way to get started so that Vicky could answer some of our questions that we had, and she also has some fashions that I'm going to get out of the closet in a minute that she's going to tell us about. It's such a treat to have Vicky here. She was here 2 years ago, and I can't tell you how many people have said to me, "You're going to get Vicky back, you're going to get Vicky back," right? So we have Vicky Tiel back here again. So I want to ask her a few questions. One is, how did you get started in fashion, and how have you survived this long? But the story is in her book, and the book will be available tonight. So,
I am celebrating my 50th year in fashion. And in Paris and New York. There's nobody that's been in fashion longer than me, 50 years. I'm also celebrating my 25th year as a fragrance designer. I think I gave her my fragrance, and I now have been also on television. I work on HSN, and all of my vintage clothing, that's clothing for the last 50 years, I'm making them available on HSN. The main dress that we're selling is the wrap dress. I'm wearing it, and my daughter-in-law, Ani, who's shooting, she's also wearing a wrap dress. But it's really exciting to have gone from couture to now making dresses in my 50th year for everybody. Everybody can afford my dresses. This is $70. But I want to explain one more thing, and that's that we didn't have available, even 5 years ago, this has 14 colors in this print. This is Bianchini, the greatest fabric house. They went bankrupt. All of my fabrics are from Abraham and Bianchini, the two greatest for all of couture. I think this is 1978 or 80. 14 colors cost a fortune then. Now it costs nothing. The Chinese photograph it, you give them the print, they photograph it, and the next day they make the fabric, and the next day they make the dress. It's so amazing what they're doing in China, that all of us can make clothing for next to nothing and everybody can have it. This is the most expensive fabric I ever owned in haute couture because of the 14 colors. There's like 4 or 5 colors of pink in this. And now this dress is $70. It's going to be on sale next month on my next show. So I really wanted to talk about that in the history of fashion, how China changed everything. And it's not bad. It's a good thing. I started in fashion as a little girl at 12 years old, and this is something I'm sure all of you have a member of your family. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't read. I couldn't add. I couldn't do anything. I could sew, and I could draw. And so, as maybe some of your children or grandchildren can sing or dance, play the guitar, but they're terrible students. So I ended up at 12 sewing and selling my dresses that I sewed to my girlfriends. And when I got money, I didn't have to ask my parents for anything because I had made my own money. So that was really exciting. And then I went to Paris when I graduated fashion school in New York, and I was still sewing, and then I hired some other sewers, and the next thing I know I was doing a movie. And the movie was shot in the studio, and I was dating Woody Allen. He was a very hot guy. And in the movie studio in Paris, I met Elizabeth Taylor, and she became my partner. So my book is about my 24 years living with Elizabeth. I married her makeup man, and I had 2 children with him. That's my daughter-in-law down there, married one of my French sons. I'm in Michigan because of her. She's a Michigan young lady that my French son met in New York City. But anyhow, I love Michigan. It's very Hemingway. And Paris is Hemingway, Key West, where I met my second husband. It's in the book. It's really exciting. I tell all about how to get men, how to keep them in the book. She taught me everything.
One of the great things, I just want to say this about the book. I have a book, and when she autographs it for you, she will do a drawing. She did a quick drawing, and it's just fantastic. It's a keepsake that I'm going to keep forever. So if you talk to Vicky afterward, she'll do a quick drawing and sign the book for you. So it's so much fun. What do you want to tell us about these?
This is really fun. Okay, the first thing I want to say is that in the history of fashion, Coco Chanel, who I absolutely adored and got to meet, and in my book you'll read about how Elizabeth took me to meet Coco, and she told us both to make a perfume. And Elizabeth's perfume makes $120 million a year. My perfume does okay. But all her children and grandchildren and everybody, including all of the AIDS world, got Elizabeth's money from fragrance. So Coco invented these dresses that we started today. And that was the clothing of the 40s was an extension of the Coco feel. By the time the 60s came around, and I was a little hellion, wild girl, I invented the mini dress with my partner, Mia, and that's why Elizabeth recognized us. We decided to wear dresses this short, go to Paris, and everybody photographed us, and that's how we got to do movies and everything.
They were the original It Girl.
The original It Girls of the mini dress. My partner was magnificent, and she was really tall and beautiful. Her mother was the biggest model in America, and we wore mini dresses. We also, in the late 60s, I want to show the hot pants. They're coming back now. In the late 60s, we decided to take the shorts. You saw the full shorts the girls wore when they were going to play tennis, and in the presentation, we decided to make hot pants and walk around in the streets of Paris with these shorts. And this is the first hot pants. Is the pants there?
Yeah,
They're
right
there.
here.
These are the very first pants that girls wore on the streets of Paris in 1968.
And I thought about wearing this too. And then I just thought, my mother's here, you know.
We wore them with boots. Boots. Tight boots. And bare skin. Boots. And today the girls are wearing the pants again with booties. That's called
I just love it. Isn't it cute?
Right now the fashion is the jumpsuits and the hot pants are back this year. So
Those white gold boots.
now this is 68. In 1967, you saw a wrap dress in the 40s that was tied weirdly in the back. It looked like an apron. In 1967, my partner, Mia, and I made the first wrap dress. It was not Diane von Furstenberg. I sell it on Home Shopping Network. She can't sue me. She can't do anything. It's in Red Book magazine in 1968. She did hers in 72. But she can go ahead and say she started it, but she didn't. The first wrap dress is me. Me. The wrap dress here. And I sell it on Home Shopping Network, and we sold 25,000 of them so far. Every show I'm on, every 6 weeks, we have more wrap dresses, and they're wonderful and comfortable, short ones, long. First one that I did in 67 was in a movie, and it was very short. It was a mini. But this exact pattern, this is the pattern, same exact pattern.
Which one next? This one?
Next is this. This is what we're making today on Home Shopping. I just wanted to say, this is the mummy dress. This handmade dress was $3,000 in Bergdorf, in New York. It's $70 or $80 with jackets now for weddings. It's on right now. It's so pretty. $78 for jackets, that's $90, and it comes with pants. This is a print from B&Kini, a fortune, one of the most expensive prints. It's called a Delft print
Oh, well,
edition.
this is more like mine. If it comes in a 16, I'm all set.
All we did in China was recopying everything, and we're wearing everything. One day, look at everybody in this room. Everybody's wearing a different thing. You're expressing yourself. You're expressing how you feel about yourself. And that's marvelous freedom, as opposed to some people in the Middle East who can't, express themselves. Every day you can create who you are to the world out of your closet, which is so exciting. Anyhow, this is the last thing. This is a fun story. This dress belonged to Sharon Stone. Here's the story. This is haute couture in Paris. This is 1983, after she did Basic Instinct. This is haute couture fabric, all handmade. This is a 24-bone corset. This would sell then for about $38,000 or $4,000. Today, maybe $7,000. We had in Beverly Hills a store called Giorgio, and Fred Heyman had the right to dress the Oscars. In the 1970s, I went to LA and I started dressing Oscars. I did many actresses and producers who did the Oscars. You had to buy the dress. You had to pay Fred Heyman. Even if you were up, the 5 girls up for the Oscar, everybody had to buy their dress from Fred Heyman. And at the end, it would say, dresses for the Oscars by Fred Heyman, and it would say Valentino, Yves Saint Laurent, all of these names provided the dresses for the Oscars, but the girls bought them. Up comes Sharon Stone, and she does this movie called Basic Instinct. And she thinks she's it after this movie. She was a very bad girl in that movie. She goes to Fred Heyman, and she buys this dress to wear for the year after the Oscars. She's going back again to present, the winner presents or whatever she's presenting. And she says to Fred, I'm not paying for my dress. You're giving me this dress. And he says, no, I'm not. You have to buy the dress. And there was a big thing. The dress was fitted, it was made for her, everything. She refused to pay for it. She said, I want this dress for free. Yeah. We wouldn't do it. So she had Giorgio Armani give her a dress for free. And ever since then, every actress said, well, Sharon Stone got her dress for free. I want my dress for free. And since 1982, and this dress is Sharon Stone, all Oscar dresses are free. So this dress has quite a history. I've never let go of it because it was something else. Anyhow, did anybody have any questions?
Has she do that because she felt that he was going to reproduce it and make his money that way? Yeah.
No, because she thought that she was it. You just give it to me because I'm so famous, I'm so special, I'm so beautiful, everybody loves me, I'm the it girl. I want it free, I want to pay.
What would your advice be to up-and-coming designers, people that want to get into the fashion world?
I used to work 8 or 10 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday. I fly anywhere. Neiman Marcus used to tell me that you had to fly to 20 stores and they'd give me the paper and I would go there day after day after day. So the person who wants to be a fashion designer has to be a workaholic. It's one of the hardest things. We have 4 collections a year. I don't recommend it. I really don't. I recommend being a buyer for a department store, being a buyer, selling clothes in other venues, but being a fashion designer, you have to be crazy. And most of them are killing themselves, so I would recommend any other thing in fashion but being a designer unless you're totally dedicated and you want to work all the time. Yes?
What's your absolute favorite design you've done?
No, I don't have a favorite. No, well, the dress I've sold the most and that I'm most known for is the Pretty Woman dress. It's the dress in red from the movie Pretty Woman with all the bones like that dress. And I think that's probably the best dress I've ever done.
And I love when Julia Roberts says, nothing else is fitting in this dress.
Now, again, about that dress, that was in Fred Heyman's in the window, and the person who did the movie, the Pretty Woman movie, came and bought that dress and put it in the movie and copied it, and she put her name on the screen as the person who bought the dress out the window. But everybody in fashion knows it's my dress, and so then I've had that done to me a lot. So you have to be very, very tough and not sensitive, if you want to be a fashion designer. It's one of the worst jobs you can imagine. I don't recommend anything else. Yeah.
Vicky, I'm still just amazed that you met Elizabeth Taylor.
At 20. What happened was, you see, Elizabeth, she was a very special person, and she always had to be on top of everything. She was an artist. Her father was an artist. He had an art gallery in Beverly Hills, and she was from an arty family, and she had to be on top of everything. She had to have the best this, the best that. Not like Sharon Stone, she'd pay for it, but she wanted to be on top of everything and know what was going on. And when she saw me wear a mini dress, and she was wearing a long fitted suit, with a skirt 4 inches below her knee and a fitted jacket. And she looked at herself and she looked at me and she went, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And all her clothes had to go and she had to have all new clothes. So she said, please make me look like this. I gotta look like this.
She shortened her hem.
She shortened her hem, she started, we all worked together, and Elizabeth would go like this and pull the pen out of my hand and draw too, because she could draw. And we made them for her.
That wonderful, and you have to read the book. It's so fun to hear all those stories.
Anything. I write for the Huffington Post. If you look up Vicky Tiel Huffington Post or Vicky Tiel HSN, you can see all my clothes and my fragrances.
You didn't talk about the fragrance
Okay.
itself.
This is a chapter in the book about Coco Chanel said to us, if you're going to want to take care of yourselves all your life and be independent, you need your own money, make fragrances. Because fashion will come and go, but a good fragrance is forever. And she was right, her Chanel No. 5 is still selling. So Elizabeth is the first person to make a celebrity fragrance. And we looked at each other like, you know, you're going to be an actress for how long, and I'm going to be a designer for how long, we better make a perfume. So we got ourselves together with people, and she made her perfume, and I made my perfume. And it's 25 years later, this is my 14th perfume. I've been selling them for years and years, and this one's now at Home Shopping, 21 Bonaparte. It's been fantastic, and the next one is 1964. So this one I'm coming out in 2 weeks on HSN with this as a first spray and the bottle. And my fragrances are always sexy.
I said, she's giving that to me.
Sexy. There's fresh, and there's fun, and there's day, and there's strong. And mine are just man catchers. If you like to have a man, what are you wearing?
I don't really need any more men. I need a money catcher. I want a money catcher.
Like you, you're a man who like getting like this person. So that's my style, is to have a sexy French.
Well, I just think it's fantastic. Thank you so much. We're gonna go I hope you had as much fun tonight as I did. I had a fantastic time. So thank you, all of you, because not only is this a fun night and it's great to see all of you here, but this supports our restoration project. So thanks again.